Yeah, we are live. Hello and welcome into another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. Alex Donno alongside Jerry Mancini. As always, we have our special guest, long overdue. We brought him on the program, and I know we're not going to regret it. And we get to cover two bases with this guy. We get to cover the Napoli and the Roma bases with Gianni Delli, who does an awesome job with the Calcio Guys. Jerry and I have both been on the Calcio Guys before. We always have an awesome time. Gianni, how are you, man? Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. First off, I feel really honored to be on. It has been a while, and I know like the first couple of times it just never worked out, but thank you for those kind words. I'm doing well. How about you guys? How's everything for you guys?
Well, I'm doing all right, man. I mean, top of the table. I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. There's still 10 finals to go, as Conte would say, but I'm doing pretty well. And Jerry, I was happy to see Lazio win over the weekend as well. And that game, it gave me a little bit of everything because I want Lazio in Champions League. I want them back in, especially if that means maybe taking a spot from Juventus. Please, Jerry, get into the Champions League. I want to see Lazio in the Champions League. I'm happy they won that game. And even, from Spezia, even in losing that game, I got to see maybe the goal of the season. Like that was unfreaking believable by Verde, that overhead kick. I mean, it was, perfectly struck. There was absolutely nothing that Pepe Reina could do about it. Like you get Jerry, a goal like that gets scored against you. You just have to kind of sit back and say, oh, my God, that was fucking incredible. Like, there's really nothing you can complain about with that.
No, it's perfect. Accurate cross. I think that the cross had a lot of time to get into the box because Maricic had fell down. He kind of lost his man. And down the wing, I think it was Lazzari who was too late to get to his man as well, if I recall. And then the cross was just perfect because there was just ample amount of space and time. So, and then Verdi, I don't know if he'll ever make a shot like that in his life again, but it was perfect, acrobatic and bicycle kick, and he basically hit top corner. Like I don't, Peperena would never had a chance on that. That was right on the top of the bar. Like there was no chance even to make that save. So it was a well-timed shot, and that's it. Like there's nothing else you can say about it.
Absolutely. And so, at the end of it, Jerry, those were a really crucial 3 points that Lazio picked up in the 2-1 over Spezia. And Spezia has been, they've been a tricky side this season. They've taken some positive results against some big teams. Now, it did, you give me your take on the ejections at the end of it. Correa and Lazzari both got given reds, which means they're not going to be available for the next matchup. Are you concerned at all about depth now with the suspensions?
From the wing back position, no, because you got Maricic who slot into the right side now. Mohamed Fares has looked encouraging in recent times, so I'm not too concerned about the left side. He'll come in. Seno Lulic has to retire. He's no longer the player he once was. He is so slow and just doesn't have that kind of like level he was at last year before his injury. I think his injury really hurt him. And at the age, I believe 35, your recovery is never the same. Like it was never going to be easy for him to come back at what he was before. So I think that if they were to offer this guy a 1-year contract extension, it'd be a big mistake. It would just be a waste of a roster spot personally. Like he couldn't make a pass on Saturday. Crosses were just like mistimed. He was just throwing balls anywhere because he just couldn't keep up with the level. What happens now with Maricic going to the right and Fares goes to the left is that you got either Matteo Musacchio or Patrick will now slot into the back end. I prefer to see Musacchio get a start. I don't think he's been bad in Serie A. I know a lot of people called him out versus Bayern Munich in the Champions League. That's not his fault because I know that it was a bad back pass and I'll fault him for that. But overall, it's never easy playing against the champions. So it was never an easy situation to be in for how much he's been playing this season. But I would prefer Matteo Musacchio in the back with Acerbi and Stefan Radu. That would be my preferred back three. And up top with Correa out, you go with Caicedo. I think that he's earned a start. I know a lot of people prefer to have him come off the bench probably. He's been better used as a sub, but Vedat Mariki hasn't really impressed me. But at the same time, maybe Inzaghi wants to try to get the value up in Marici and gives him playing time and hopefully can capitalize up front with Immobile. So we'll see if that comes as an option. So I won't rule that out either.
Gotcha. I have so much I want to get to with Gianni. Although I will say that before we start, diving deep, especially on Napoli, because they have such a big midweek matchup coming up against Juventus. But I want to set the context, and I know that there's a good chance, and I hope this is the case, that a lot of our listeners and viewers also watch the Calcio Guys, and if you don't, by the way, you should check them out. They do a fantastic job. So if anyone is not familiar with Gianni, because I know this question is going to come up if we don't give it the proper context. Explain, because when we're going to ask you about both Napoli and Roma, and you have affection for both of those clubs, I just want people to understand. Can you explain how you came to be a fan of both?
All right, so straightforward. As a kid growing up, I was born in '92, so I only saw, let's say, my family only really watched the bad side of Napoli. So, like, as that was really towards the end of, like, the whole Maradona era was over and everything. So, as a kid, I didn't see team names. I didn't see affiliates. World Cup '98 was, like, the first ever World Cup I really, really understood soccer. And that's when I started watching club soccer from there. And one of my favorite players as a kid was Totti. And also, red was my favorite color. So I'm like, I'm going to go for the red team, So I'm a 4-year-old kid. I don't know any better, right?
Sure.
And it was a great time to watch Roma. And, and winning the Scudetto in 2001 was very nice and everything. And so as a kid, I always loved Roma. But my family, as I said before we started recording, my father was from Rocca d'Avandro, which is about 45 minutes north of Naples. My mom's side, half of it's from Cervinara, which is about 30 minutes away from Naples as well. So my family's pretty much Napolitan. And basically, when Napoli started coming back into Serie B and stuff, I went on YouTube because you were able to find highlights on YouTube. And I showed my nonno because I'm really close to my nonno. My nonno is basically the guy who helped put a soccer ball on my feet when I was 1 year old, along with my father and whatever. And I used to show him highlights and everything, and I, cool, like Napoli's a cute team and stuff. And then, like, I don't know, I guess over the years, like my family pride just kind of kicked in, and my pride for, I guess, my family's region and stuff just kind of kicked in. I started enjoying watching Napoli with my grandfather. Then I, like, late in the mid 2000s, like after the Goran Pandev and Pia era, when they finally came back up to Serie A, I enjoyed watching Hamsik and Lavezzi, and then when it got Cavani in 2011, like even at Quagliarella too, like it was a fun team to watch Napoli because they're always like the underdog team that just kind of like they scraped for their wins and stuff, and they had a charm, and I grew to love them, and I guess just over time, like my passion just kind of grew for them too. And I know it's sacrilegious because they are rival teams. I get that 100%. So I get so I don't even contest it. I deserve the clown comments that I get sometimes. I even call myself a clown for liking both teams. It's just, I'm sorry.
The heart wants.
Huh?
The heart wants what the heart wants. I mean,
exactly.
Listen, it's hard to argue with your passion.
Exactly. And I mean, like nowadays, like if you were to ask me, like gun to my head, I would lean a little bit more to Napoli because I think they're overall in a better place than Roma. And Roma recently, besides that, like after that run in 2018, they've been a mess. And right now, it kind of hurts watching Roma. Like it's kind of annoying. Like it's just. So I guess now, like my allegiance is more for Napoli than Roma. But I'm not going to be somebody who's going to be like, oh, I hate Roma. Like no, I still love Roma and I still love Napoli. It's. At this point, I'm more like, hey, I just want everybody to have a good time. But yeah,
cool. I totally respect that, and I definitely on this episode we're going to touch more on Napoli. Before we get to the midweek clash with Juventus, it's going to be so important for both clubs. I mean, Juve are trying to ensure they stay in a Champions League spot because that's no longer a given at this point, especially after, the loss to Benevento and most recently the draw that they just picked up against Torino this past weekend. And Napoli are trying to rise in and secure top 4 after not making it last year. Talk me through what ended up being, I'm sure, a much nervier victory than you expected against Crotone. It was sloppy at the back for Napoli. It was 3-3, and then Di Lorenzo gets what turned out to be the game-winning goal, 72nd minute. I always say a W is a W, 3 points are 3 points. You get them and you move on. But talk me a little bit through that, because that was very tense, and that was not exactly a lot of style points earned in that win.
No. A lot of defensive blunders is the best way to describe that game. Manolas, with that, I think it was him that had that dumb giveaway. And then, Maximovic, just losing the ball. I don't know what decision making he had when on the third goal. But I think it just goes to show how much of a mess Napoli is in the back end without Koulibaly. And he's a very key player for that back line. He's a general. He knows how to put people in order. Like, I remember one clip, literally, he pushed Mario Rui aside, and I think it was the Champions League PSG game when they're in the same group stage a couple of years back. But that clip always just, stays in my mind, because it shows that guy, even when he's not covering the middle, is covering the wings at the same time. He's telling players where to go and what to do and who to cover. He is essential for Napoli to succeed. And when you don't have a guy like Koulibaly, give credit to Crotone. Simi's having a hell of a year. And they're not a weak, yes, they are a lower table club, but they're not one of those lower table clubs that you should feel like as if you're guaranteed a W when you face them. AJ wrote in the chat.
Love that. How about that? We love you, Johnny, even though you like 2 teams.
I love you too, Adriano. But yeah, it just goes to show without Koulibaly, they're a mess in the back. And offensively, they were great. They clicked well. They fired on all cylinders. Offensively, the plays were fantastic. Mertens doesn't hit a ball like Ronaldo does when he takes a free kick, so that's always nice to see. But in the back end, if Koulibaly doesn't get any help, in the future, Napoli's a big mess, because you're going to have to end up trying to score more goals than your opposition every game, and that's never fun in soccer.
Jerry, I want to go around the table on this one and have you guys both weigh in before we kind of finish the review of the weekend and get into the couple of midweek matchups we have on Wednesday. We have Inter and Sassuolo, and Napoli against Juventus, which is going to be a pretty gigantic clash. Had a couple of surprising results over the weekend, Jerry, and both of those benefited me. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit surprised and happy to see Milan dropping points against Sampdoria. What a ghastly error by Teo Hernandez with that back pass that put it right on Quagliarella's foot. And you got to give Quagliarella credit, because it's not even, a guaranteed strike. The one-timer he put was perfectly placed. Donnarumma was not in position for it. There was nothing he could do. Just a ghastly mistake, but Quagliarella took advantage of it. Milan were down 1-0 for most of this game, even despite going up a man at the 59th minute. Hauga was able to get a game-tying goal at the 87th minute. Milan actually nearly had a game-winning goal from Kessié, who hit a goal post. That would have been a lovely goal. It was a lovely strike. But at the end, Milan end up dropping points 1-1 against Samp. And we also had Juventus dropping points against Torino 2-2. Sanabria, what a game for him, scored a brace. Chiesa scored the opening goal, put Juve up 1-0. Ronaldo scored a game-tying goal at 79th minute. So, Jerry, I want to ask you, which result shocked you more? Were you more surprised by either of those? Milan 1-1 with Samp or Juventus 2-2 with Torino? Which of those results surprised you more?
Oh, man, that's tough. I say neither, personally, because Milan has shown not the greatest form in recent times. So this shouldn't be a shock that they tied a Sampdoria side that has really proven to be difficult this year. They've stolen points against Lazio. They've stolen points against Inter. So they have been a resilient team and managed well under Claudio Ranieri. As for Torino, again, should it be a shock that they were able to compete with Juventus, who again have been inconsistent as well this year and haven't shown the same form as they have in recent seasons? Injuries have hurt them, not having players available. Now with the whole COVID situation, with Paulo Dybala being suspended, along with
McKennie and Arthur.
And now you got Torino, who have players available, a Belotti who is available, which hasn't been the case for recent times. A lot of their players returned to the lineup, so it was a much stronger Torino that we saw that was able to kind of compete with Juventus. So if I had to choose between the two, probably Juventus. But again, like, you know what? A lot of people continue to count out Lazio and not being in the equation of competing for a top four. I think it's a big possibility, because here's the thing. We talk about these two games. Milan didn't convince me at all. They looked really poor. Juventus didn't look good either. They looked sluggish. They didn't really attack Torino a lot, and they were fortunate to even tie this game up. And then I know Lazio wasn't as convincing probably, but they had a lot of chances throughout their match and maybe should have scored 2 or 3 goals from open play. We're winning matches and we're building up ground. So I don't see why they can't be considered. Napoli has shown inconsistency. Even though they won 4-3 against Crotone, they haven't really won in a convincing fashion in a long time. Atalanta at the moment are playing formidable football. Like they're very strong, probably the most consistent team of the pack right now. But it wouldn't surprise me if they started losing 3 games in a row. This team is very quick to turn off, just as much as they're very quick to turn on. So, and then Roma's out of the equation. I don't think Roma has a chance, personally. I think there's a lot of issues inside the dressing room, and the team doesn't look the same for me. But I think it's going to be a very tight race for the top 4 spot overall.
Yeah, no, and Adriano just said the same thing. It's going to be a fight to the finish for the top 4 spots. And listen, I think that it's good for Serie A, to have tight races for the top 4. We've had that, for really the last couple of seasons. I mean, obviously, selfishly, I don't mind seeing a new champion this year. Obviously, Juve fans would disagree with that, but it was a very, very long cycle for them, 9 years. That it looks like it's about to come to an end. As far as before I get Gianni's take, I think I was slightly more surprised by Juve's result. And I know Milan were the ones that were at home, but their home form has not been good. Milan has actually been a better road team this season, and I've seen Samp take some good results this season. I was more surprised by Juventus. I know people can say, "Oh, it's a derby, anything can happen," but they have owned that derby for a very, very long time. It's not really. It's been so lopsided between Juve and Torino, and it doesn't matter whether they play at Torino or they play at the J. It's Juventus has absolutely owned that. And you had errors in both of those games. I mean, for Milan, I mentioned a pretty ghastly error by Teo Hernandez, who is he's such a hot and cold player. I mean, the highs are so high for him and the lows are so low. He's capable of doing incredible things. He's also capable of having brutal mental mistakes, but there were also, terrible errors on Juventus's part as well. I mean, Szczesny was pretty awful on both goals conceded. The second one was, assisted by Kulusevski, who made that goal possible, and Szczesny was not good in net on either of those. So for so many years, we were accustomed to watching, it was the Juventus of Conte, and then it was the Juventus of Allegri, and that was between the two of them an 8-year span. Now, I know that, they started to lose some traction under Sarri last year, but still, Juventus just don't lose like that. I mean, not until this season. Like, not until this season do you ever see Juve lose on so many individual errors. And I know they didn't technically lose this game, but drop points. And, dropping points to Torino almost feels like a loss, especially in an important game like that. But what do you think, Gianni, out of Milan's draw and Juve's draw, which of those results surprised you more?
The Juve one for sure, because I believe, if I recall, let me double check standings, but I think Torino's 17th, I think.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, they are. It's, in my opinion, it should have been a game for Juve to be okay, let's just kind of I don't want to say like a rebound game. Actually, I think that's the best term for it. Like they should have, like, I thought it was gonna be like a rebound game for them. Like, okay, look, we've been in a bit of a slump. Let's use this game to kind of build a base and build from there type of thing. But that wasn't the case, especially after the Benevento result. I feel like it's a bit more surprising. Milan, it's been unfortunate because the roster, like, I'm not trying to crap talk Milan because I'm not a Milan fan, but my personal opinion, I think Milan, because of their string of injuries and their string of players out to COVID, players out for cards, players out, like, eventually, like, when you lose many different parts, if you're a unit and you lose a lot of different parts, you can't function. And, like, as a squad, they're not as, like, I guess, well equipped as, like, let's say Inter, where Inter, they're playing like a well-oiled machine. Milan was, and now I feel like, okay, they're hitting some speed bumps along the road, but unfortunately their team is not deep enough to recover as much as let's say like Inter, if they hit some speed bumps, like in terms of depth. And Juve is in that upper tier as well. That's why for me, I think the Juve Torino game was a bit more shocking, because it's like, yeah, how did you guys draw to Torino, especially? But Jerry hit it well before, like, if they're getting key players back. So obviously it's not the same Torino as you should expect that have been playing for the entire season. So it goes to show. And I don't know. I think Juve, if I may just take a little bit more time just to go off.
Sure.
I think Juve, I was having a discussion with a good friend of mine this past weekend. I feel like as if Juve, because they have so much sucked into Ronaldo, like, you have to bargain bin for a lot of positions. I call the term bargain binning, where it's like, like, you're looking for those, like, oh, this player is valued at 5 million, or this player we can bring him in as a free transfer, type of thing, and expect to get a result or expect to be good and consistent. But after a while, when you bargain bin so much, you're not going to be top quality anymore. You can find some diamonds in the rough, like I wouldn't call McKennie like a super diamond in the rough, but he's been good for them. He's been a great find for them. But but there's some players where it's like, that's a lot. It's not good.
Rabiot, Ramsey.
I doubt a player like Ramsey. Like, I think it was mentioned in our little group chat, like, a player like Ramsey's going to get that type of salary in another league. It just seemed like as if Juve was just like, oh yeah, sure, let's just offer, let's try to get this fish type of thing. All in all, for myself, Juve right now, it was kind of, I don't want to say long time coming, but after a while, like, when you have enough leaks in your ship, you're going to eventually sink. You can try to patch them up as much as you can, but if more holes are appearing, you're just going to start crashing. And I think that's what's happening with Juve right now.
And something else I think it's worth mentioning is we did see some strange results this past weekend, and for Napoli it was a little bit tougher than you would have expected to have been against Crotone. I think it is worth pointing out that coming off an international break, sometimes you get performances like that. I mean, sometimes, especially clubs that had players leave to play for a ton of different national teams, and then you're away from your teammates for a couple of weeks, you can get disjointed performances. That's pretty expected. And that's why, and I'm thankful that Inter were able to get their result in their 1-0 win against Bologna, and they were able to grind out 3 points. I knew it was going to be a tough game for that reason. Like, I knew that coming off, and for Inter, it was even an extra week off, so they had 3 weeks between games. They had a ton of internationals. I mean, they did catch a break with the South American qualifiers getting canceled, so you didn't also have to have Alexis join Chile and Lautaro join Argentina, so they caught a little bit of a break there. But I really was not expecting a virtuoso performance from the Nerazzurri. So especially coming off an international break, I'm happy with 3 points. I want to talk a little bit about that game, Inter's 1-0 against Bologna. It certainly was not a champagne football type of performance. There were a few players from Inter that I thought were especially poor in this game. Achraf Hakimi was among his worst performances in an Inter shirt. He can be, I like him a lot, and I'm happy that they invested with him, and he has helped the squad. He will continue to do so. He's very inconsistent. I'm going to chalk that off to his youth. I mean, Hakimi being so young, he's got to reach a point within the next couple of seasons where he doesn't have to be world class every week, but he at least needs to be getting down the flanks, putting in dangerous crosses, no cheap giveaways, because there are certain times where he's on the ball so much better than other times he can be a bit sloppy with his touches. This was not a good game this past weekend from Hakimi. Ashley Young was very poor, but you kind of expect that at this point from Ashley Young. There's a reason why he rarely plays at this time. He's so old and inconsistent. I know a lot of people were really criticizing Barella. I thought there was a little bit of harshness on that standpoint because Barella, like his final ball, he had a few misplayed passes, but I thought that for people who said he had a shit game, I thought that was a little bit lazy of a criticism because and Jerry, you and I were chatting during the game. I thought Barella actually did an excellent job with some of the tackles and the balls that he won. So it was not a complete performance, and maybe if you're judging Barella by his own standard, he fell a little bit short of that. I didn't think he had a bad game. I didn't think though that Christian Eriksen was particularly good. You got enough of a flash of brilliance from Lukaku in the finish and the goal that he scored on the second effort that ended up taking the 3 points. But Jerry, what I really wanted to get into was the beautiful cross from Bastoni, who he's a center back, but he basically carried up the left wing like he was playing wing back in that moment, and just a perfectly placed cross. This kid is getting to be such a complete player at 21 years old. I think he is now, Bastoni. I mean, such a complete player. Obviously, he's got the build and the height that he's, going to be a center back for his entire career, but he's versatile enough that if he really wanted to, he could play fullback or wing back as well. He could probably even play midfield because he's very confident on the ball. I could not be happier with what Bastoni has been doing in his young career now.
I think he's watching Acerbi too much. I think that's the problem.
It's a good shout, and he's left-footed as well, so he's like a young Acerbi.
I honestly think that he tries to play like Acerbi, where he tries to advance the ball forward, tries to commit with the offense, and I don't see an issue with that because he's done a really good job in that department. But on the defensive end, he's also been a good presence in the back end. So he's developing into a really caliber top defender, and I give credit to Conte, because Conte is a mastermind at getting the best out of young players. And we're talking about this offline, me and Joe from Forza Napoli podcast. And didn't Conte start the regime of Juventus before they started to win 9 Scudettos in a row?
Yeah, 2012.
And so Inter is on to something where they got Conte starting this whole dynasty maybe of Scudettos to come. Who knows? But look at Nicolo Barella. He's reached potential and has matured so much because of Conte as well. His ability to make these young players work hard and not like take it very lightly. And I think that his expectations of being so high gets the best out of his young players. The guy who I want to give a shout out to on Saturday's game, and to me was the player of the game, was Bernocchia. I think
I like him, man. He's Jerry. He used to be the butt of every joke when he was younger. The guy used to make these comically bad mistakes. Like every time he started, he would score an own goal. He would have a cheap giveaway that would lead to a goal. I mean, I'd much rather have him off the bench than a regular starter. But every time he's been called into duty the last 2 years, he's performed very well.
Well, the last time he played was at the end of January. So he didn't play for 2 months, had to come off the bench. He has to start as a starter in place of Stefan de Vrij, who basically had COVID and wasn't fit to play, who started on the bench. And it's never easy to fill those kind of shoes on very limited playing time. So I thought he asserted himself very well, and he defended well in the back end along with centering between Skriniar and Bastoni. So never easy, but he looked very calm and composed in that back end. And I believe he had like 4 interceptions, if I recall, or 4 clearances. He has some good stat lines, but overall, that was my player of the game because they rarely created any chances and they defended a lot of the game. But again, he did what he had to.
What did you think of that match, Gianni?
Well, I fortunately did not see the match, but
You didn't. It wasn't that exciting. You honestly didn't miss very much.
I was too worried about my other teams. But one thing I do want to touch upon is that on the Conte aspect. I mean, this is a manager that took a very, very subpar squad in 2016 and almost eliminated the world champions in Germany. And if it wasn't for Graziano Pele going Fai Cucchiar, and then messed it up, and then we're not going to talk about Zaza's little dance, but if it wasn't for that, we actually might have eliminated Germany with a very subpar squad. So Conte knows how to get the most of his players. Now, if you don't mind me asking, did Sensi play? Because I know you played for the national team during the international break.
He didn't play. No, he didn't
play. Okay, I guess he's not fully.
I think Conte. I think Conte forgot he's not dead. Like I think Conte forgot he's on the squad list.
But it's nice to see, like to touch upon Bastoni. You know, like it's nice to hear that he's getting more like comfortable and better in his role, because like our midfield for the national team, because our midfield seems solid. As call it what you want. I know people have their opinions on up front. I think our front line is great. I'm still an Immobile believer. Not because he's just not well done, but like I like the guy. I feel like as if if he had he has a good midfield now. Give him some time. He's still sure you got a penalty shot goal, whoop-de-doo, but he's still getting those goals. Like Insigne has missed 2 crucial penalty shots against Juve over the years. I mean, sometimes penalties are not the easiest things to score. But it's nice to hear players like Bastoni do well, because Chiellini's not going to be there forever. And when Chiellini goes, we need a reliable center back. You always need that reliable pillar in your back line. To see your center back has to. I like to argue your center back is probably your most important player in your defense than your wing backs or your fullbacks. It's and to hear that Bastoni is going to be great, fantastic. And if Romagnoli or Cherby can be those guys to replace Bonucci, fantastic. I'm not big. But Chiellini, when he goes or when he decides to retire, it's a big hole to fill, and he had to fill a big hole to himself, So it's a very key role, and if Bastoni can be one of those options for Italy in the future, it's nice to hear, and it's hopefully playing under Conte and playing with a good squad in Inter, kind of keeps him at that upper level mentality. Like I feel like as if you play with the only way you can be a better player is if you elevate to the players around you. And if you're playing constantly with world-class like when I say world-class, I mean like they're starting for the national team type players, you're obviously going to elevate yourself to that level too. And if you're going to be playing in Champions League, if you're going to be playing in fighting for first place in the league, you obviously have to always be at the top of your game. And it's going to help out Bastoni in the long run and players like Barella and Sensi too. So that makes me happy hearing that he had a fantastic game.
Yeah, and like Jerry, as much as I would love to give Conte more credit for Bastoni, and I'm sure he does deserve some credit because he's helped mold him tactically, and Bastoni, he's perfect for that formation, like playing left center back in a back three suits him very well. So I can't not give Conte credit, but I give most of the credit to Bastoni himself, because I think about last season, he wasn't supposed to be trusted over Diego Godin. But by the time they got through midway through the campaign, like Conte was leaving Diego Godin on the bench in favor of Bastoni. Like I don't think that was the plan to start the year. I think Conte thought, okay, this is going to be, Bastoni is going to be my 4th or 5th center back, and obviously, my back three is going to be, Godin, because we got him on a free. This guy's older, but you thought, he's world class at the time, and Skriniar and De Vrij. But I don't think Conte really imagined that Bastoni would become irreplaceable. But by the midway point of the season last year, even before it, Gianni Bastoni was benching Diego Godin.
Yeah, and just to quickly add to that, like you said it perfectly, like Diego Godin, free chance, that was big. Like Godin is great, and then to hear a player like Bastoni making Godin be benched, I don't want to say it's unheard of, but it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like something's got to be happening for a player like Diego Godin to be benched. But I think I'm not sure if it was you who said it, but I think he's not that great in the back three. Godin's better in the back four, but I don't want to get off on that. But yeah, no, like I guess maybe just for Godin it just wasn't the system, but Bastoni's doing well in it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And so, yeah, I mean, listen, Inter ended up getting. It was and Bologna had they were not clinical, but they were certainly at times they were creating some dangerous opportunities. And I was really bracing myself for a game tying goal through much of that second half. So I mean, this Jerry, this is the type of performance that Scudetto winners need to have to be able to close out results and win even when you're not at your best. And to be honest about the past 3 or 4 performances from Inter have not been classic ones. I mean, going back to the 1-0 that they got against Atalanta, they had kind of a subpar against Parma. Against Torino, they had a kind of a subpar victory, and in this one they didn't play great. So they've been brilliant at times this year, but then Inter have also had some performances where you feel a little bit fortunate to come away with all 3 points. But I mean, these are the types of games that we saw for so many years. Juventus would win all of these ugly sort of games, and this year Inter are the team doing that.
Well, I'm looking at your stats. Sorry, it's been 5 straight wins where they haven't won convincing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
the last strong game they had was against Milan in the derby. I thought that was the last time they actually had a formidable performance and they looked convincing. But you know what? They're figuring out ways to win. I think teams that win Scudettos don't always have 38 strong matches and look convincing. There's going to be games where it becomes difficult, like you said, international break and having 2-week layoff, and especially this year where there have been multiple circumstances with COVID-19 and having a lot of players out, not just to injuries, but to a new sort of injury, you can call it, where you're not just missing one game, but you're missing multiple games. And you don't have a choice, so you have to alter your lineup. You have to have adjustments, and get credit to Conte. People think that he's a failure this year because they exited from the Champions League and they exited from the Coppa Italia, but I don't think any team has been in an easy situation. I know that Inter has a lot of depth in their squad, but sometimes depth doesn't help when you're playing Milan the first time way back in the season when you have 7 players out for one game. Like there are circumstances that you can't really judge these managers like you normally do in past years. It's not the I don't think it's the right way to look at this year. I guess certain managers you can probably point the finger, why is it not working at Roma, maybe you want to say, but for the most part, Conte's got it right when it comes to the Scudetto. And I know that maybe a lot of Inter fans or Conte haters think that he should have done better and he should be having his team closer to more trophies, but it was never a one-stop gap where he's going to get everything done right away.
Right.
It was a project that had to take place, and now we're seeing the second year of it. And aside from probably winning Scudetto, I think another important factor is that he's developing a philosophy, a foundation here that this team could be good for a few seasons to come. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and listen.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, adding Conte's defense, they made it to the Europa League final last year too. You know, it's like it's not like as if he didn't bring his team to an opportunity. They still had opportunity last year to win at least one trophy. So, but sorry, Donald, back to you.
Oh no problem at all. And I think. Oh wait, we got Art Morelli in the chat here. Oh my God, we got to bring in Art. What is going on, man? I feel like we have a celebrity sighting here. What's up, Arthur?
Well, I'm just hanging out watching some baseball, actually. But I figured I'd pop in and say what's up.
Buona Pasqua. You know what? Buona Pasqua to you and your family. I think it's perfect that we have another Napoli supporter in here because, guys, I was just about to get into the big midweek showdown, Napoli against Juventus. Now, first of all, and Gianni, I want your thoughts on this because, you guys have the opportunity, you and Art Squad have the opportunity to put the nail in the coffin of the Andrea Pirlo era at Juventus.
Allegedly.
Do you think it happens? Do you think if Napoli get the 3 points by Wednesday night, by the end of the evening, we find out that Pirlo's time is over at Juve?
I mean, like, like it's the Wesley Snipes image where he's like crying, but he has the gun in his hand type of thing. I think that's probably how I feel about that game. Like, it sucks to do it to Andrea Pirlo, a guy who's done so much for us. But at this point, F Juve, like, I don't care what happens to them. I want them to get muddied. And, if they lose and he gets fired, I just laugh even more because they get more and they get placed more in a tailspin than they are right now. So, but I would find that weird that with 10 games left in the season that they would go and fire Pirlo. Like, okay, so does that mean you just officially call quits on the season? What are you going to do, especially if you're in the 4th place position right now? You're clawing your way at trying to stay in the top 4 spot. If you get rid of Pirlo, I think it goes even further. I think you guys like Juve would just drop even further if they would just let go of Pirlo at this point in the season.
The question I think the question you have to ask is who comes in, who comes back? Like, does Sarri come back to the touchline? What's
read my mind?
What's the alternative? I mean, I think it's David Amoyal who always says this on his show. Like, it's easy to sack the coach. It's much more difficult to replace him. And like, I don't understand how. Like, these are rumors. We don't know if they're true. But, like, I just don't understand what the alternative is. As Gianni said, with 10 games left, they still have to secure a position. I don't think it's likely that we see Maurizio Sarri back on the sideline. So
you're right, because like there's an idea. Obviously, many Juventini, they want Allegri to be the next coach, but okay, that may happen over the summer. But he's not coming in for 10 games, or it'll be 9 games.
Hold on, maybe not. But what about if there's a plan that there is some? When does his contract expire with Juventus? Because they're still paying him out probably. So let's just say maybe he still has next year available on his contract. Just assuming, okay. Or something in the back end, because how you mentioned.
I think this might be the last year, or last year was the last year. I'm not 100% sure.
Are we talking about Allegri?
Allegri.
Yeah. Because I'm like, aren't they still paying Sarri as well?
Yeah, they are.
They are paying Sarri, but I don't think Allegri is under contract anymore. I thought last year was his last year.
You might be right.
I could be wrong, but I don't think that Juventus is playing 3 coaches right now.
I was going to say, well, let's just say hypothetically in the back end, we don't know what's going on, but because he has the relationship with the team, maybe he finishes off the year and they have something planned out and he has like a 2-year contract, new stipulations if he returns to Juve. Who knows? Juve does these type of things. You never know what they're actually planning. And in the back end, I wouldn't be surprised if Allegri came back. I'm not sure if he left on bad terms with Juve. I don't know precisely how the relationship was, but it's a possibility. And I do agree that you can't sack him. It's either Allegri comes back, you patch up with Sarri, which is not going to happen because that was really bad compared to Allegri. That was very bad what they did to Sarri. It was like, you win us a Scudetto, take care, because we're going to shit the bed even more next year. Basically, it's so stupid, but I don't know what Juventus is gonna do. But you know what? I'll be honest. I love it because I know a lot of people probably always chirp me on Twitter saying, "Oh, you're just jealous because after 9 years you can finally see us crumble." Well, guess what? I am happy after 9 years. I don't care if it took 9 years. I don't give it. I'll banter all day about it because
we need diversity.
It's not just the diversity. It's not. I don't look at it just 1 year. I think this is going to be a long-term thing where they don't have Beppe Marotta. This is the guy who Juventus fans are forgetting that they should really look back and say, this is the guy we miss. Not Ronaldo we got, not a manager that we're missing. It's Beppe Marotta who is creating Inter. Who brought Barella? Who brought Bastone? Who brought Lukaku in and got him back to what he was? Lautaro Martinez, the best strike duo up front with Lukaku for X period amount of time. Hakimi coming over from the Bundesliga and playing, I would say, decent at least. all the pieces are together, and it's not because just Conte. Conte has done a good job. I'll give him credit. He's got it working. And that's what his job is to do.
Yeah, and a lot of
the
those players you mentioned are there because Conte wanted them. So I give him credit for that because Lukaku would not be there if Conte had not begged for him.
Exactly. What has Paratici done for Juventus? I love to hear how you guys think, because I'll name two players where he's been Ramsey, Rabiot. You spend $7 million in wages on these idiots? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, what have they produced for your team? And you tied all your money to Ronaldo, where Carlo Garganese says it perfect about him all the time, where Juventus is not a one-man team. They've never been in their 9 Scudettos. They've always been a team that builds from the bottom to the top and has like those key players that fit the mold. They got some young players, they got some experienced players, but never that one superstar, and that's how they made it to the finals of the Champions League twice.
I don't want to be the one to defend Juventus, but I mean,
I don't think
I think De Ligt is a fantastic player. I think they brought in Chiesa. Chiesa's had a phenomenal year, like a surprisingly phenomenal year for the club anyway. I think Kulusevski is going to be fine. He's young. He's adapting. He was really bad the other day, and he's been pretty much bad all year, but I think he's going to be good. There are pieces there. You still have Dybala, who you have to figure out. I mean, I'm not giving Paratici credit for Dybala, obviously, but this team is not as in bad shape, Jerry, as I think you're making them sound like they are.
Well, their big issue though, guys, it's been the midfield. Like, that's what they have to fix. And my big thing is, and obviously, like, I'm not saying that that Pirlo isn't one of the problems or part of the problems, but he's being made the scapegoat here. He never should have been given the big job in the first place. I mean, right, Gianni? It's like this guy was supposed to be the Primavera manager, which makes sense. No coaching experience. Hadn't written his thesis yet at the time that they elevated him to the top job. They put him in an impossible position, right? I mean, I guess Agnelli and Paratici just decided, hey, this is a turnkey operation. You know, we've won 9 straight Scudetti, so there's nothing that can stop us. We have Ronaldo, and hey, we didn't win the Champions League with Sarri or Allegri, so maybe Pirlo can't do any worse, and we're still going to win the Italian league. It's like they put this guy in a tough position when they have no midfield, when they've got so many aging players, when they've got a guy like Ronaldo's wages tying up so many other areas they can't spend money on. They can't improve the midfield because of Ronaldo's wages. It's like, what do you expect Pirlo to do when he's never coached before? I mean, if he had been brought up the right way, if he had coached the Primavera for a couple of years, or if he'd gone to another, smaller club and been a head coach or head manager for a couple of years, like, he may have come back to Juventus as a seasoned manager ready for that job because he understands how to adjust tactically. He understands how to manage his substitutions. Instead, you elevate this guy to one of the biggest jobs in Europe and just expect him to either know it instantly how to do all these things properly without the experience, or just to figure it out within a month or two. Like, they put this guy in an impossible position. Like, there are so many problems that go way above Pirlo's head, and so now you're telling me he's going to be the scapegoat, and if they don't, I don't know what happens if they draw, but the rumors are if they lose to Napoli midweek that Pirlo's going to get fired. Okay, congratulations, you have your scapegoat. Now what do you do next?
Yeah, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. Pirlo was put in a position that he's screwed. Like, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think, honestly, the reason why they went with Pirlo is because he's the cheap option. Like, if Sadi's still on your payroll, like, and what was he was getting, like, a salary of like 10 million? It was something really ridiculous. It was something really high. And like, okay, now you still have to pay that guy on your payroll. So how are we going to get, like, you're not going to give another manager the same amount of salary. That would be ridiculous, paying 2 managers for the price of just one. So I think that's why they went with Pirlo, because, like, hey, look, he's going to cost us cheap. He's got a former connection with the club, so he's a fan favorite. So people will be like, hey, whoa, cool, Pirlo managing Juventus. It's like Zidane managing Real. Like, it's you'll have like a kind of like personal connection there. Players respect him and love him. So, like, yeah, you won't have any issues in the dressing room where players are not going to agree with your manager because they're going to look across and they're going to see Pirlo and be like, okay, well, I can't say crap about this guy. This guy's won Champions League and World Cups, like a World Cup and Champions Leagues. So like this guy knows what it takes to win. And on a management standpoint, they look like geniuses because, hey, if we succeed, we look like geniuses because we got a coach for cheap. We discovered a diamond in the rough, look at us, we're Juventus. We could even find gems for managers. And if he does badly, you can be like, oh yeah, well, he's inexperienced, so we don't blame him too much for this. But I feel like he's looking in the direction for a club. We need more experienced manager, that's basically how it's going to be for Juve. They're going to cover up much bigger glaring issues with just a firing of Pirlo if they do poorly. But I don't think fans are stupid. If you pay, you see it on Twitter, fans are starting to come around. It's like, it's not Pirlo the issue, the hardcore fans. Obviously, the casuals that came in because of Ronaldo, they're like, oh, Pirlo's a bad manager, team sucks. They don't actually see the issue at Juve. A lot of Juve fans that are diehard fans know what the situation is. They see the writing on the wall, and they understand there's a deeper problem. Jerry said it perfect. Actually, I have to give props to Jerry once again. Like, you said it perfectly. Like, Morata was the guy who built that Juve, Paratici. Wow, I'm having a hard time with that name. He's not giving them the squad that they need to support Ronaldo. And yeah, for them, they cover their ass. For lack of a better term, they cover their ass with Pirlo. They fire Pirlo. Oh, well, it was inexperienced. But I don't blame Pirlo either. Just just to wrap up my point.
Yeah,
I don't blame Pirlo either because, hey, yeah, you're supposed to be a Primavera coach, but you're getting an opportunity to manage a top flight team. And you get to be showcased to the world what you can do as a manager, and for your career down the line. Owners won't be stupid. Owners will be like, okay, well, given the situation that you're in at the time, we don't blame you for signing that contract to manage Juve, and for given what you had in that season, you did have some bright spots. There was some good players you helped turn around and stuff. So I'm pretty sure Pirlo, even if, let's say, he does get sacked at the end of the season, it would be hard for him to find another job. I think people are aware of what the actual situation is for Juventus.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays within the organization somehow. That's a good shout. Because he was already. I mean, that's part of the reason Gianni, you went through the reasons why Pirlo made sense for them. I mean, one of the reasons was that he was already on the payroll. I mean, obviously the plan was not for him to manage the first team, but he was already there, part of the organization. I think the other wrinkle is just a short turnaround time from the end of last season to this season. It was really going to be difficult for them to start fresh with a brand new top flight manager. I don't blame him either. He's obviously very green. It doesn't look good sometimes, but it comes down to the players. You're right. They don't have a midfield. They haven't had one for 50 years. It feels like. Sure does. I mean, they've won the last 3 championships without a midfield, basically.
But signing Ronaldo was never going to be an easy task to have players around him too. It was going to take very smart signings. With the amount of money they tied up into one player, they didn't have the supporting cash flow to buy a player around, to buy a team around him. That was always going to be the issue.
They still won 2 straight titles. So they kind of got away. They kind of got away with it. I mean, yeah, obviously the goal to win the Champions League is the diamond in the rough for them that they can't achieve. But they still won 2 championships with them.
No, absolutely. I know that the goal was never to win a championship with him, and you're right, they did it right, but I don't know. Their back end, okay, so you have Delli, you're right. You mentioned him, but who else do you put beside him now? You got a Bonucci that's aging, you got a Collini that's aging. What is your back line going to be looking like for the foreseeable future? So that's a very, very iffy question. I know Chiesa was a good signing to play on the wing, but here's the thing. You got Kulusevski, who you spent a lot of money as well, and they both play the same position. So who's your formidable starter for the future? Well, it's going to be Chiesa, it looks like. Kulusevski is not really becoming that player yet, and probably the problem is he hasn't played enough this year. So what happens? You play him out of position. It doesn't help his development. You don't have a true number 9 for the future. I know you have Ronaldo, but okay, that's fine. But he's not going to be there long term. Morata.
He's only 20. What is he? Only 28 though. Morata. It's
but,
he's like he's like a sneaky. He's a sneaky.
He's been around forever.
Yeah,
he's been around forever. But what's his contract too? Right, his option. I think it's pretty significant wages.
Yeah, they may not because he's on loan with option, right?
Yeah. So there's and then again the midfield is a biggest question mark because Arthur looked like their best creative midfielder, and then he gets hurt. So who knows what that's going to happen next season? What happens to him? I guess that's the one guy you can put in that spot. But the whole midfield is a freaking disaster. Bentancur has looked terrible this year. Rabiot hasn't looked convincing at times. Ramsey, oh man, and that might be the worst signing they've made in the whole midfield, probably worse than Rabiot, I would say, because Rabiot has shown signs of being good. So I won't say he's been a terrible signing, but he hasn't been great. But Ramsey hasn't shown any signs. So again, there's a lot of question marks to this team, I think, and one where, yeah, you're right. There are pieces in play, but what happens after that? And here's the thing: if Ronaldo doesn't get signed this summer, they are screwed because now it's another year where they can't really buy a lot of players. What the heck is going on here? Where you can't buy a lot of players and you're like, okay, what do we do now? Like, how does next year look, right? So a lot of question marks. But I do agree with you. You do prove a good point. They do have pieces in play. But the problem with Paratici is he's so prone to signing extra players like those pieces that just don't click in together. You know what I mean? I haven't seen this guy put the whole project together like Morata does, what he did with Juventus and he did with Inter now. So
we got the Ericsson FC president Mario Galliano in. Mario, I don't know how much of this conversation you heard, so let me just ask you, my friend, how much of or how many of Juve's problems do you think are Pirlo's fault? Has he been made a bit of a scapegoat here, you think?
I think he's been a scapegoat, and he's been put in a really bad position to take this team. They gave him minimal to work with, and he's just not ready to take on a project that big. They needed to win. They brought in the wrong guy. So they had to rebuild because I feel like that's all he could do at this point. By the way, you shared the StreamYard link on Twitter. So that's why I joined.
Did I? Jesus, yeah. I figured that must be how Art got in.
Yeah, I went to watch the video on YouTube and I clicked this. I love it. It's okay.
I'm happy to have you aboard. That was totally my bad. All right. Well, I want to go around the table. Predictions for Juventus Napoli on Wednesday. I'm gonna straddle the fence and I'm gonna say draw. I'm gonna go 2-2 draw, which may not be enough to get Pirlo the sack. A draw. I don't know. I feel like a draw serves Napoli a little bit better than it serves Juventus, but I don't know. 1 point apiece. Maybe it's not that big a deal. I'm gonna go 2-2 draw. What do you think, Jerry?
I'll go 2-1 Napoli.
What about you, Johnny? I think I have a feeling which way you might go.
I want to say something, but I feel like as if I'm going to curse them if I actually say.
That's my strategy as well for Inter games. Yeah, it's Jerry's strategy for Lazio games.
Because knowing my luck, it's pretty crap. I want to say 2-1 Napoli. I'm feeling kind of confident for the game, especially with the poor form that Juve's in. But watch me just jinx it completely now by saying that. But I'm gonna go with I'll just to shoot a prediction 2-1 Napoli.
What do you think, Art?
I'm just worried the game's not going to be played now with all the Juve COVID positive COVID cases.
True.
Yeah, that's right. Is there anything any update on that? I haven't checked in on that in like 4 hours. Is there anything any speculation?
I haven't even seen who the new Juve player was. I also saw that Sal Sirigu was positive as well. So it just seems like all the Nazionale players are testing positive. Although the Napoli players have tested negative so far. So we'll see. But 3-2 Napoli.
What do you think, Mario?
I was going to go with the 2-1, but that's become too popular for me. So I'm going to go 3-1 Napoli. I hate this Juve team. I think this is the worst Juve team I've seen my whole life.
I want to go around the table on one more thing before we wrap it up for this episode. And I'll start, Mario, with you. We'll go around in the other direction. Your take on the new Inter logo that dropped late last week with the IM campaign. Honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm a shill for the club. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think they needed to change it. Like I'm not here saying, oh, I wish all of my teams changed their logos every few years. I've seen it happen way too much with my South Florida teams within the last decade. The Miami Dolphins changed their logo. The Florida Panthers changed their logo. The Marlins have changed their logo twice within the past 10 years. So I've seen it happen way too often. But honestly, people hate change. They're always going to complain about a logo change, which you see happening with this Inter logo. I think it's one thing to look at it just in isolation of just the logo. When you see it on shirts and some of the mock-ups, it doesn't look that bad. What is that in the background, by the way? Is that at your crib, Mario? Like, what is that? It's loud as fuck in the background.
Oh, my computer fan. It's like kind of annoying today. Sorry. I don't like the logo, and it's more so because I think they could have done a better job with it. I feel like they took the Juve route where they just wanted it to be like really simple, but it's really like not simple at the same time. And I told Jerry it's TIT FC, so you know we all can't unsee that now. Once you see it, I was really hoping for like a serpent or something else. I mean, I guess that's probably why I like it a lot less than I really should. I had higher expectations, you know, because people went crazy for the last logo change when they took away the star and like the 1908 or whatever. And I was like, okay, you know, it's basically the same thing. I don't mind it. You take away the star. But this is just like, it's an IM. I'm not a fan of it. I guess it'll grow on us haters. But I don't really like hate it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not sold on it.
I gotcha. But have you seen because they have the the leaked fourth kit that they've shown the picture of, and then like some of the mock-ups where it's on the I think the color is the problem on the logo that they put out in isolation with the blue and white. The blue and white doesn't look good. It doesn't feel Inter. But then when you see it in like gold on a jersey, it looks fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like it looks fine. Like, you know, I mean, you can ask why did they have to change the logo, but whatever, they change it. I don't think it looks that bad.
I think if we win the Scudetto this year, they add the gold for next year.
Okay.
Something like how they did with the Pirelli logo in 2010, 11, whatever. Not 10, 11. Something like that. No, earlier. I'm sorry?
It was 2010. Milan won. Actually, it would be for 2011.
2011, yeah.
It was like Ibra's last year.
Oh, then that was 2008. I think that was.
It was with the gold. I have it in my dresser right now. I off the top of my head, I can't think of it.
I think that was the 100-year anniversary kit, I think.
Yeah. So that's 2008.
What do you think about the new logo art?
I'm glad you mentioned what you said. I think part of the challenge for me was like seeing like the big launch and that just basic blue and white logo. It looked like a beta version of what they were trying to do, and that was like the one that they launched. I'm confused as to why they dropped the FC, because that's their name. But I do like it better with more colors. I just feel like it almost feels to me like they wrote the campaign before they changed the logo.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like it was all sort of built around this rebrand campaign. I'm whatever, and that's why they decided to drop the FC and make the logo more basic, because they felt like they had a snappy rebrand campaign slogan.
Well, there's definitely this idea that seems to be going around that, like, because we saw what Juventus did going from their crest to, you know, the J that they've had now for a few years, and it's like these corporations like seem to have this idea that the more you can simplify it, the more universally it can be sold. I don't know. I don't go through these focus groups like they go through. I don't know the marketing numbers behind it. As a fan, I don't really understand that, but they seem to have this idea because Juve did it, now Inter's doing it, where like the less clutter and the less letters and commotion you have in your logo, the more it's going to translate into North America and Asia. I don't really know why they think that's the case, but what do you think about Inter's new design, Johnny?
Well, look on the bright side. At least it wasn't Montreal's fucking announcement about Club de Foot Montréal instead of Montreal Impact. That was
and they're playing in my stadium for a while. I get to watch your team. They're going to be playing while I work, man. I'm going to become
don't expect much. Like Thierry Henry left for a reason because Saputo himself, he's trying his best, but that's just a whole nother can of worms. And then to have the tagline called "We are snowflakes," like, come on, that's not gonna be good at all. But I saw like some of like the mock-up or the pre-release like brand wear that they released and for Inter, and I liked it a lot. Like I quote tweeted somebody saying like that long white sleeve sweater with the blue and white Inter Milano logo. It looked very nice. And I think that is their strategy. I think they're trying to do what Juve did, where simplifying the logo, make it more marketable, have more people buy brand and merchandise just to get, I guess, more popular. I mean, like when Juve did their brand change, yeah, you can argue that it's also maybe because Ronaldo going to the team, but I saw much more people that were non-Italians wearing Juventus gear. So I think that's the goal for them. I think that's the end game. Just make yourself more of a brand, more marketable. And especially now that they are getting results, Carl actually put it very well. When you have titles and results, people are going to look at you more. And then when they see the logo and the brand, they'll buy more of that stuff. And it just exponentially grows from there. So I personally, since it's on my team, I really didn't have a strong opinion on it. I found it was okay. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't ugly at all. Like
right.
I said, it's not CF Montreal. Let's just leave it, that logo change is not nice at all. But the name's great, and logo's not good. And for Inter, yeah, sure, there's that weird tit thing in the middle that Jerry likes to point out. But I myself
that actually made it like me more when Jerry pointed out that if you look at it a certain way, it spells tit. I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I can get on board with that.
I don't think any guy would complain about it. Yeah, what do you support? FC Tit, titties. We're
good. What do you think, Jerry?
I'm a tradition kind of guy. If I saw my team kind of like
imagine Lazio without the eagle.
Yeah, like without the eagle, say like that, it would really bother me because that's tradition. That's the history of the club. It's what they represent. You have to think about why they have that logo on the actual jersey. Napoli with the N. What else? I'm sure there's numerous clubs like from Parma to Inter. I don't know why Inter changes their logo so much, but I think this one has really changed it a lot. And I just think that it also looks stupid that you have the word tit in the logo. Kind of like shows a kind of a disrespect. I don't know.
Hold on. I mean, did they? I don't think they intended to put the word "tit" in there. I think if you look at it from a certain angle, like, hey, that looks like it's I don't think they sat in a boardroom and said, how can we sneak "tit" into this thing? I just think it came out looking that way.
This isn't Disney, right? They don't put sex in the sky with a lion king.
To put swastikas on their jersey back in 1989.
I don't know, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Your marketing department should know what the fuck they're doing. I'll tell you that much, because I don't know, man. Fuck yeah, I don't know what to say, man.
I mean, given the example I gave before, I think some marketing departments are pretty clueless on what to do with a rebranding or changing up on things. So I mean,
it's true.
Double-edged sword.
It's true. I agree with that. You know what, man? I saw a comment just moments ago where it doesn't matter what the logo really is, but it all matters what the results and titles is. That's
I want to bring Jerry, you can finish your thought, and then I want to bring Mo in on the conversation.
It all depends on your results, right? I think that's the most important thing, basically.
And Mo has like one of the fucking best backdrops. I mean, how many Inter shirts, and he's got a scarf back there. He's got the mashup kit. He's got the away kit. Oh, I love that. That is beautiful. Mo, what do you think about the new logo? You like it? You hate it? Indifferent?
I love it, man. To be honest, can you guys hear me well?
I hear you fine. A little low, but I hear you.
I know what Jerry's talking about, and I've been following Jerry on Twitter about the tradition, the old habits, and then people don't like change, and it's a different club than the ones I used to like grow up with, and all of this stuff are good and are great, but we're in North America, all of us, and I remember 3-4 years ago it was beIN Sports 2 games a week, and it was a struggle to get the games on Serie A, and I'm sure that all of you are the same boat with me, right? But then
yes,
Cristiano
absolutely.
came, and then the modern logo is here for Juventus, and now ESPN jumped in, and then all 10 games every single week are on TV. You can choose and pick what you want to watch. So people in Europe are talking about the traditions and stuff, but all about the American market is all about modernization. What American franchises are doing to their team, the Dodgers, the Yankees, everybody is moving to the modern logos, right? And I think this is what Inter is doing. And then even Asia everything is moving to the new stuff, the modern things. Based on history, that's not great. Modern. And as you guys said before, as Gianni said, do you want exponentially to grow? You have to follow the new trend. Like everybody else, you want to jump on the boat. And that's what Inter did. This is my opinion about the new logo. It's simple, minimalistic, small, not complicated like the old Chris, but it is what it is. And it's, to be honest, it's representative of the club, isn't it? Right? Like it's what we are. It's an Inter Milan, right? We're FC Internazionale Milano. This is where we are.
Hey, but before I wrap up this episode, I'm so glad that Mo popped in. Mo, let the people know, man. I want to give you a chance to plug because you work really hard, and I like your videos. Let people know where they can find you, your match breakdowns.
Normally, guys, I do the everything Inter-related. I do on Inter Worldwide. Some guys are friends here with the show. And my own channel, I actually held back a little bit because I don't have time with all the Inter Worldwide and the game after game that is happening, the match reactions and all the Serie A thing. But check us out. We do the Serie A roundup every week. It's great. Hopefully we can have Alex and Jerry on soon. Hopefully, I was talking about this so you guys can discuss. When last you jump on Juventus soon, Jerry, watch out this weekend. Hey, this weekend. This Wednesday, Napoli are going to win. And then this coming weekend, Lazio are going to be ahead of Juventus in the stands. And then everybody's going to talk about, I can see you in the rearview mirror. This is what you're going to tell Daniel Lucci, Jerry. This is what you're going to tell him.
What a shout. What a shout.
They have been talking about, well, we're definitely going to make top 4. We're definitely going to make top 4. Okay, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. After
You know, and I notice over the last few months, since I have been gradually turning Jerry into an Interista, whether he realizes it or not. It's how I am the Trojan horse. I have permeated his brain, and I'm making him an Interista. I've even noticed that like more people are going after Jerry on Twitter. They don't like the fact that he's writing for Inter sites. And listen, this man Jerry, he is a Serie A analyst. He's written. You even wrote for a Juventus site at one point, Jerry.
We wrote for Napoli too. Napoli called Toronto.
Yeah, I write for anybody, man. I don't care who the team is. I remember last year I wrote a piece for Roma, and I got freaking tortured for that one. That one I got destroyed for. But it was basically about about how things were starting to turn around for them, and I did it for John Solano. Roma Press.
Oh, nice. What a good dude.
And I did a piece for him, but I just like what okay, I hate Roma. Yeah, I hate Juventus. Yeah, sure. But doesn't mean that I'm gonna talk and write about them very biased. You know what I mean? Just because I don't like your team doesn't mean I'm gonna be so objective to one side. Like I wrote a piece about Ronaldo and I had a lot of good feedback about it because yeah, maybe I don't like Ronaldo, but I'm not going to talk shit about him when the facts are that, yeah, he is a great player. And yeah, he can help in certain ways, but his wages don't help the club, and there is vice versa. So, you know what? I get so much flack on Twitter, but I always say a lot of these people hide behind a screen and talk a big talk. But if I were to meet half of these people, they all be pussies. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, but I did an analysis for Lazio Roma, and I did an analysis for Juventus and Roma. We do some stuff. Not I don't have to do everything Inter, and Lazio, like everybody's the same. This is what.
No, I agree with you.
This is what you do, right? Anyway, thank you guys for having me. I just wanted to pop in and
Oh,
say everybody
thank you
hi.
so much, man.
No problem.
Anytime, you just let me know. I'll pop in,
Yes.
say a couple of words, bring people in, and then let them
I love it,
carry on.
man. It was so nice to chat with you, and everybody
Yes.
check Mo out. Love it. Thank you so much, my friend. And we're gonna wrap it up on that note. I want to give everybody a chance to let the people know what they're up to. I mean, Gianni, you guys on the Calcio Guys, you were always kicking ass.
Hold on.
You know, we love
Before
Nick
we
and
go,
Adriano as well.
I'm surprised you didn't mention this. Antonio Conte and Inter are ready to renew his contract for another year. You didn't see that? He's
When the
expected-
fuck did that drop?
That was
big news. Big news.
That was I'm gonna tweet about it, and I do plan on writing about why I do like this.
Hold on. How long for reals? How long ago did this drop?
Football Italia. Hold on.
Now?
5 hours ago. Inter
5 hours
reportedly
ago. What the fuck was I doing?
Inter reportedly ready to offer Antonio Conte a contract extension, even if his salary will automatically raise at the end of the season. Yeah. So.
I did. I didn't see. I don't think I saw the specific link you were talking about, but I did see some reports within the last couple of days that this is expected. Because actually, you know what? This morning, I was going to comment on it, and then I wanted to find the right word. Sometimes I'll start to write a tweet, and then I don't finish writing a tweet. I'm very strange, but I did want to comment on it today because I think it's actually kind of a beautiful saga when you look back to this past August after the Europa League, the loss in the final, and there was this hard feeling where Conte was livid with the club not protecting him from the media. We talked about it, Jerry, on the show last year, that the inside story that I received was that you can remember a story around Christmas time of 2019 when someone sent a death threat to Conte. They sent it to the office. They sent a bullet to Conte, an envelope with a bullet in it, and it was received by the club at the facility, and yet somehow Conte's wife found out about it, meaning somebody from the club leaked it to her, and he was fucking pissed because he did not want his wife and his daughter to know somebody sent him a death threat. So he was very upset because he thought, he was thinking, thank God this came to the office and not my home. My wife and daughter don't have to know about it. Instead, someone from the office leaked it to his wife, and it became a whole thing. So he was really angry with the club. He thought the club are not protecting me. The club are not protecting us from the media. So it really reached a point where, despite the fact that Inter ended up having a good season last year, finishing in second place in the Campionato and getting to the Europa League final, so you thought, hey, there's positive things happening here. Yeah, Conte was very close to resigning. Like, Conte had a foot out the door. They had a big summit at the end of the season where everybody following it thought, okay, at the end of this summit, they're going to announce that Conte is gone and Max Allegri is replacing him. That's what everyone was talking about. And it ended up being Conte staying. And, a year later, you look at the results. You look at a team that is on the verge. I don't want to jinx it, but on the verge of winning a Scudetto. And Conte has done very well this season, and he actually seems happy. You don't have the usual Conte outburst. This is not him bitching and moaning and complaining after games that he was for most of last year. So I think it's actually kind of a beautiful turnaround and a beautiful success story that Antonio Conte, who less than a year ago was ready to walk away and resign or maybe get sacked, and now he may be extending his time with Inter. I love it. I'm happy to see it, Jerry.
I'm buying a Conte jersey this year. I need to find out what number he was. I'm seriously buying a Conte jersey because I love this fucking
Would you
guy.
buy a Conte Juve jersey?
No, fuck that, man. I'd rather burn that shit, man.
He never wore an Inter jersey. So.
I'm making up my own fucking Inter jersey.
You could get a national team jersey of Conte if you want.
You could. Yeah, you could.
Oh,
He played it until 94, I believe. I don't think he was part of the 98 team. I think he played up until 94. I know he was part of the 94 team, I think.
What teams did he play for? He played for Juve?
I don't know his club team. I know he played for Juve. I think that's
did he play for Lecce like when he was younger? Like I think he came through. He played for some small clubs.
I feel like as if there was I have something irking me, like as if there's a connection somewhere for me. Hold on.
Yeah, look up the history.
I'm looking up Lecce and Juve.
Okay.
I'm buying a Lecce jersey finally.
Yeah, 1 goal and 81 appearances for Lecce.
Oh yeah, I'm buying a fucking Lecce jersey. You kidding me? Oh yeah, look at those Serie A B stats, baby. 0 goals. Fucking. Oh my God! Did he ever spend so many years with Juve? I didn't even know.
Wait, yeah, he on the national team for 2000? Really?
Maybe I'll buy a national. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
What? I don't remember
94, 95, 96, 99, 2000. Wow.
Yeah, he was there forever.
2000 squad.
Yeah, he played 5 matches too. He had 1 goal.
All right, dudes. I am hungry as hell, so I want to wrap this up. Jerry, I gotta get my late night snack here. Hey, Jerry, where can people find you? Anywhere they can look for your work?
I don't know. Lazio. I have a piece coming out tonight. Three takeaways for the Lazio game. I did an Inter piece that got released today. Winners and losers based on the game when they were winning over Bologna. That's about it. I probably will write about why it's important for Lazio to finish in the top 4 spot and how it's possible. And that's about it at the moment. Some things that come to my mind.
Awesome. What about you, Gianni?
Well, people can find me at what I have written over. Hold on, my hands are off. There we go. At Gianni Rules 27 on Twitter. Also on Instagram, it's the same handle, Gianni Rules RULZ 27. It was my Hotmail email that I made when I was 7, and it stuck. So my MSN name. But also, I'm on a show with Adriano Donardo and Nicholas Di Giovanni, 2 amazing guys. We're on the Calcio Guys. At the Calcio Guys is our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. I do my podcast with them. I appreciate if anybody, whoever gives us a listen, thank you so much for coming to listen to us. And once again, I appreciate the fact that you guys brought me on to have me on the show. It's awesome. It felt great. Thank you.
Excellent, guys. Well, I had an awesome time. And of course, you can hear me and see me on this show on the Calcio Connection. I just basically broadcasting all day, pretty much. I have, excuse me, I have my Man of the Match show on Onside Radio, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time every day. We talk mostly North American sports on that show, but I do slip in some Serie A propaganda every chance that I get, man. We have a good time with that as well. So you can watch me 3 to 6 p.m. on Onside Radio. And yeah, support Jerry, J Mancini 8. Everybody's Twitter handles are here. I'm at Alex Donno. We will talk to you guys next time. And huge thanks to those who crashed. So I fucked up. And for one of the links that I sent out the link for guests to join us. Like for the first link I sent out the YouTube link. Second link I sent the link for people to join us as guests. And so we have people like Art who just decided to pop in. Mario decides to pop in. Mo decides to pop in. Jerry, I'm thinking of something. Maybe this is just the way we do the show from now on. Like, is that a crazy idea? Because you cannot find a more interactive Calcio show than this one, who will literally just bring your ass on and let you talk about your team. Like, we might be onto something here. Seriously, open invitation.
I was actually thinking about something else. Whatever happened to that? What's the hell that shaver thing for your balls?
Manscaped.
Whatever happened to Manscaped?
We didn't sell enough. They didn't. You get to keep your Manscaped. I don't think we sold enough for them to pay me.
Oh, so we no longer have the contract with them? Okay, I wasn't sure. Fuck those guys anyways. Fuck those guys. We got free fucking Manscaped, bro. $100 saved. That anybody who gets with Manscaped, just get the free product. Suck it up for a month. Do your stupid. Hey, buy Manscaped and you can shave your balls with fucking yuppie de doo freaking ball shaver, and that's it. And you save $100 and you got the whole package for free. You don't have to buy online, and they ship it to you free of charge. Go for it, guys. Anybody who has a pod, do it, man. Free Manscaped, and it's worth the shave, man. That's all I can tell you. Worth the shave while holding a Nutella sandwich in your hand.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to wrap it up on that note. Huge thanks to Gianni. Huge thanks to Jerry. Huge thanks to Art. Huge thanks to Mo. I had a lot of fun on this episode, guys. We'll talk to you on the next one. Another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast next time here. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, motherfucker.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate being on. Thank you so much. We're still live, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Motherfucker. You fucker.